Hey, what's up guys? John here. We are witnessing the greatest decline in property values that we've ever seen in US history happening in some of the most prestigious communities in America. I'm talking about Beverly Hills, Hollywood Hills, Bel Air, north of Sunset, south of Mulholland, and Mulholland to Ventura. So these entire communities, north of Sunset to Mulholland, you're looking at 5, 10, 15, 20, 30, 40, 50 million dollars for a property or more. And then on the other side, maybe it's 3 million, $5 million for a house. But these are expensive homes. And now what the city is doing is they're going to be extracting hundreds of billions of dollars from these property owners. And it's not just these communities. So you might say, hey, I'm not rich. I don't live in these areas, or I don't care. But listen to what's happening here and pay attention to what's happening in your city, because it's coming to you next. I guarantee it. It's going to be coming to your community. And if you're investing in real estate, or you plan to, and you're not looking at these changes around the environment and how it's going to impact building codes, you're making a big mistake. Because I see people all the time on social media investing and talking about real estate, acting as if it's 2015 or 2018. All they're looking at is the numbers. They're not paying attention to these new building code changes that are going to impact the valuations on these properties that they're buying and that they're trying to invest in. Pay attention to this. I'll break it down for you. Hit the like button if you want. YouTube will share the content if you do. And today's video is sponsored by GreatCreditFast.com. That's GreatCreditFast.com. If you want to fix your credit to position yourself for the greatest wealth transfer of all time, we'd love to help you at GreatCreditFast.com. Now take a look at this. I issued a warning about this, saying luxury hillside mansions in LA to drop 80%. Insane new build. Now, I was a real estate agent in Beverly Hills from 2009 to 2019. I know these neighborhoods like the back of my hand. I'm extremely connected with a lot of the realtors in these areas. I know a lot of people there. I saw what was happening before everyone else was basically talking about it. In fact, I put this video out kind of breaking this down, saying, you know what, interest rates are at record lows right now. And this is the time, if you're going to sell over the next 5 years, you want to probably sell now. I put this out July 12th of 2021. July 12th. And now what we're seeing, look at Zillow, for example. If you look at Zillow, some of this new home inventory, you're starting to see massive price reductions, $6 million price reduction. You're seeing $200,000 price reduction. But what you're starting to see that we haven't seen in a very long time is tons and tons and tons of inventory starting to hit the market of property owners seeing the writing on the wall, saying, you know what, I bet that in 6 months or 12 months or 24 months, I would get less for my property than I would today. And they would be right. They would be right. Unless a miracle happens, which I don't see happening. Because this new ordinance, by the way, this isn't a vote by the people. This is by the elected officials. The people have no vote at all in this. So it just is going to likely go. And that is going to be a really big problem, because property owners won't be able to redevelop the same property on their land. They'll be greatly reduced on what they can build. It's going to impact one's ability to either sell their property for a profit or walk away in foreclosure. And maybe a year ago they thought they had millions of dollars in equity in that property. Now they have nothing. But look at this. So I got this email yesterday from a realtor in Beverly Hills. I got this 17 hours ago saying, a typical 7,500 square foot lot, before you're able to build 4,250 square feet. Now it's maybe 2,000 square feet. If not, it might be unbuildable. Right, same thing. 15,000 square foot lot before, a 7,000 square foot house you could build. Now would be 3,500. So they hack it in half, if not less, or it could be unbuildable. So you get the premise. Even a 30,000 square foot lot, which is 0.75 of an acre. Right, this is a huge lot. Before it was 10,000 square feet, and now it's 6,000, if not less. Right, if not less. So you have a 30,000 square foot lot, 6,000 square foot house. So and most of these lots in the hills, they're not 30,000 square feet. Most lots in these areas, depending on where you are, if you're in Truesdale, maybe you have a bigger lot. But if you're in Laurel Canyon, you're in Sunset Plaza, maybe you're 5,000, 10,000, 12,000 square foot lot. These properties before were able to have these McMansions built on the side of them, and the developers are making a ton of money. The city was making a ton of money off of the property taxes and all the fees that they were getting with building and safety and everything else. But now we're going to start to see are desperate sellers as the economy changes. People, looking at this saying, you know what, do I want to be in Los Angeles? Do I want to be in a city where, record high crime? We have an environment where it's extremely expensive. The police are being limited on how they can, respond to this. And the city is just hitting us with one insane policy after the next, and it just doesn't seem like there's an end in sight. You're seeing a lot of people move to Miami. You're seeing people move to other locations for a reason. I think it's going to continue to persist. Now, how this is going to play out is they say that they don't want any more basements, no more than 1,000 square feet basement area, where the height from the finished floor of the basement to the finished ceiling. I'm going to leave all this in the show notes so you can see your specific property, your specific circumstance, and how this applies to you. But if you want to, for example, issue building permits for any project that's within WLD district, no permit shall be issued, including but not limited to grading, shoring, or building permits unless administrative review. You're going to go through all these different reviews. It's going to be extremely time consuming and costly, if at all possible. Most of them are likely going to get declined. Otherwise, why are they bringing this massive action forward? They want to reduce building. They want to reduce building. And it's fascinating the more you look into this. So now Los Angeles, they're building decarbonization. This is what people are not yet realizing. I think that people, they look at one thing and they say, this is all it's going to be, it's going to stop here. But they don't realize that when they say wildlife, they're talking about the environment. And when they're talking about the environment, they're talking also about fossil fuels. They're talking about clean energy. They're talking about making things, better for the world, right? So it's going to go to this situation where these property owners are going to start to have to go through these upgrades to where they're going to have to decarbonize their properties, whether it be solar, whether it be your heating and air conditioning, whether it be your stove, whether it be your building envelope, to make sure that you're not, your exterior of your structure is not leaking out AC, and to make sure that everything is in full compliance. This is what's going to happen. In fact, they say that it's going to be expensive, and the report shows that it can cost as much as $28,000 per housing unit. And this housing unit, by the way, they're talking about apartment buildings, apartment units, not actual structures. And so you start to calculate that on a fourplex, it would be $100,000. This isn't cheap, and it's nowhere close to being over. Look at this. So pay attention to this, because this is shocking. Look at who's behind this, and I'm going to tie in Los Angeles and show you specifically LA, because many people might be like, oh, it's just expensive communities. It's just, these millionaires can't build like they could before. No, that's wrong. Look at these funders. These aren't like small little players here. But as you scroll down here, you got George there. You got some big ones here. You have, let's see here. You have Hillary here. So these aren't, you have this bank there, right? But you click here, then you click on locations. I mean, you're talking 12,000, I think it was 12,000 cities last time I was on here. Let's see here. It was 12,000 cities before I'll refresh it. And it was like over 1 billion people. It's not loading. There we go. Okay, so it was 12,000 before, maybe there's more. Yeah, 12,772 cities, 1.1 billion people. Now you click cities, and then you look at Los Angeles. You just click country. You can type in United States. Then first page will be Los Angeles. You click Los Angeles. Then you look at their plan. They say that emissions inventory, 80% of which, 78% to be specific, is emissions. 78%. So you're like, okay, so obviously their target is going to be emissions, environment. They're going to be pushing heavily into this, which is going to be extremely costly and not very cost effective for many property owners that won't have access to liquidity, and they see their values of their properties being slowly pulled down. But as we start to look at this even more, and I was looking at the website, I'm like, okay, let's see kind of how this plays out. So this is another website. This website is CAL, so ca.gov. And when you look at what they're doing here, Cal Green provisions under the jurisdiction of the California Department of Housing and Community Development are for newly constructed residential structures, as well as additions and alterations to existing buildings which increase the building's conditioned area and interior volume or size. Therefore, for purposes of HCD, Cal Green applies to the following types of residential structures: hotels, motels, lodging, apartment houses, condominiums, 1 and 2 family dwellings, townhouses, factory, right? This is what's going to happen. They're moving into this. These property owners, in in California are going to be hit with some really, really big changes. Now look at this. I'm going to go back to this website where I just was, and we look at food systems, for example. And if you look at food, they say our global food system is broken. 1/3 of all food is wasted. Yet many people around the world suffer from food insecurity. Food is among the largest driver of global climate. Food insecurity is one of the biggest impacts of this, right? Most of the world's food is consumed in urban areas, giving cities the power to deliver transformative change. Now, you look at who are these cities that are also going to be working to reduce food waste? Well, you got Los Angeles right there. You have Los Angeles. Los Angeles is a hub for food. Los Angeles is a tourist destination, at least it was, before crime got out of control. Now, when you look at how they're going to do this, they're moving heavily into plant-based. So plant-based food, and this is going to go straight back to real estate. So look at this. When you click what we do, you click energy and buildings, then you go down here, and then you click the new building efficiency network. I believe it's right here. Then you can look right here, developing and enacting regulations and/or planning policies for ultra-efficient buildings and mandatory building energy codes. So you can click here and you can kind of see how this all plays out. But they're going to be implementing and enforcing building codes, regulations, and mandatory performance standards for existing buildings. Very simple, very easy to see. So if you're looking at, Los Angeles and you're like, hey, those values are going to start to come down. I'm not saying this to concern anyone. I'm simply saying that if you're going to invest in real estate, make a forward-thinking decision based on fundamentals and based on reality. Look at this, pay attention to this. This is going to be coming. This is not the end. This is the beginning. And I've been warning about this for 18 months, saying that these mansions are going to be in big trouble and that investors that are not paying attention to this and they're only investing money based on the idea of this notion of inflation is going to be a problem, borrow money at 3% because we have record high inflation, you could buy these rentals, tenants will pay off the debt, you'll build tremendous wealth. It was a massive bubble and it was a setup. It was a massive setup because we're going to start moving into this and a lot of people aren't ready for it. In fact, I brought someone on my podcast today that will probably come out in the next week or two, who they're getting government funding and they're going to be using this government funding and they're already lending it out. It's called SELF. There's a company, it's on miami-dade.gov website. They're lending out tons of money for people to upgrade their properties, talking about mandatory upgrades. It's incredible what's happening. But I'm going to post the podcast, so you can subscribe if you want to watch it or not. But it's unbelievable. This is going to change everything. Watch Los Angeles. Watch how these property owners kind of navigate this because they're not going to. Simply because people don't have a vote in it. That's public knowledge. They don't have a vote. This is what's just going to move forward likely and just get passed, and it's going to continue one step after the next. What do you think about it? Drop below, hit the like button, subscribe here. Also, add me on IG for content you're not going to get anywhere else. And again, if you want to fix your credit, we'd love to help you at greatcreditfast.com. That's greatcreditfast.com. Catch you guys in the next video.